19 G's, your friendly neighborhood schizophrenic, and I am here with Music Talk. Today we are going to go over one of my most iconic songs I've released, and it is called Pretty Girlz. It is one of my first songs that I actually released about my mental health outside of my schizophrenia. As I started to go through depression, crippling anxiety, and I started to learn that there were other forms of mental health problems that I had after going through a traumatic relationship. I learned there was a lot more to being a person than who you are when you're raised in a household and who you become as you go through relationships. The definition of who I was started to change, and it also changed my mental health. And so I made a song to talk about it, and that's where Pretty Girlz came from. Let's get into it. Pretty girls only come out in summertime. In the wintertime, what do? I eat Chinese food. I'm trying to kick it with Of course, it says Pretty Girlz because the infatuation behind the woman who is beautiful or has this idea of pretty and glamorous, we always chase after them. And like, it's always seen that they come out in the summertime, you know. It's like always people find this idea of summer love and this fictitious idea of like going out and making this magnificent person just on this, you know, out in the summer. And it's like, okay, but where are the pretty girls during the winter? Where are the people who are inside, the people who are sad, the people who are depressed, the people who don't go out and hide the fake face and who can't hide the fake face? You know, where are the people who beauty comes from inside? And so that's where it's a little bit deeper than what it sounds like, you know. So then we go into the next round. It's like, what do I do, you know, when I'm sitting here hoping, wishing for somebody to equate my level of love and who I am? I eat Chinese food, right? And I say that reference because I absolutely love Asian culture. I love the community. I love the connection, right? And that's always been a big thing for me, especially while like going through my own mental health and learning. As my personality started to develop, it was very easy for me to use anime and use other cultures to kind of exhibit some of these feelings and frustrations because my culture didn't talk about our mental health. Our culture didn't express it. It wasn't allowed to say that, you know, I'm not okay, and that's not okay, right? So that was one big reason I stepped into that. And then I also put a lot of tropes and jokes into the song because there's so many parts of me that are confused and shattered during this relationship. One moment I like this, one moment I don't like that, one moment I want this, one moment I don't want that, because the person I was and I identified with ended up cracking during this relationship. And so I didn't care for the pretty girls anymore. I didn't care for the glamorous women. I cared for the women who had more substance. I cared for the people who had more substance, and I cared for myself to have more substance. Shallow girls only swim in the pool that's about 2 feet deep. It's kind of self-explanatory. I would used to do this like psychology game with women to see how shallow they were, to see how deep a person was in the context of what they wanted out of life and how they wanted to treat people. And so I would basically do a game where I would ask somebody for 2 pennies, right? And if someone has a hard time giving you 2 pennies, then they won't give you 2 seconds of their time, right? Even if someone's like, the moment you're like, hey, do you have 2? And they cut you off, you know, it just shows that that person doesn't have something deeper or don't care to be deeper than what they are. So shallow girls only swim in the pool that's about 2 feet deep. So they stand up whenever they sleep, or they might drown. Bad karma's keeping me down, 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 down. It's talking about how that plane of life kind of becomes even when everybody is all in the same plane. When we all get in the ground, it doesn't matter how shallow of a person you are. It doesn't matter what you did. Everyone still goes to the same place at the end of life. And so it's like, what was your worth and your value while you existed? Did you actually give something valuable? Did you actually put something good into this world? Or did you just allow your karma and all the negative things that you put into the world to ultimately drag you down into that shallow water that's ultimately the end of existence and the end of everything? But then on the other side, for me more personally, it was talking about how being with a person who only saw me for the 2 things I could give them, and if those 2 things didn't suffice, then I wasn't enough for them, right? And so when I came from this mind state of no one see me as enough, and I didn't value myself as enough, and I didn't know what enough was. But then all the people in my head were yelling and saying, well, this is valuable and that is valuable. It becomes a very deep and dark conversation where you feel like you're drowning even when you're sleeping because the thoughts don't stop. So for me and my schizophrenia, it was a whole different kind of a conversation. Whereas even though when I wrote the song, it was more so about this plane in existence for everybody. So just a little double meaning for you guys on that one. And all the dumb girls think they're pretty. But if I had a penny for all these pretty little thoughts, I'd be dumb broke. What a joke. Oh, that one is a lot of play on words and like societal norms, right? So it's like the girls who are smart are dumbing themselves down so then that way they can fit into the norm of being pretty, right? And then all the pretty girls are trying to glamorize themselves so then that way they don't seem dumb. Like it's this endless cycle of we constantly trying to change and manipulate ourselves to fit a standard or make someone else happy, right? And even though I reference this to women, it's more so referenced to me because I was a very intelligent young man in Arkansas at that. And being smart sometimes gets you popped in your mouth. So, so there's a couple times where me being smarter than I should have been and telling somebody they're wrong and correcting somebody because of me having the knowledge and not understanding sometimes the time and a place for communication and things like that. It caused for trouble. So I dumbed myself down, right? And then I start to try to change myself to fit in and try to make sure that I could fit into the normality of what other people saw as cool, right? But it never was me. It never was something that worked out for me. So ultimately, I couldn't afford my own thoughts, right? If I had a penny for all these pretty little thoughts, right? Because I'm trying to change myself to make me more suitable for the world and for how people want to accept what's out here now. But my head still got all these thoughts telling me, no, this not it. That's, like, it's a little bit harder to explain schizophrenia. But it's just going back and forth, and I'm constantly fighting myself while I'm trying to change myself, which is causing it just for this chaotic mindset of still feeling like I'm drowning, right? So that's where it says I would be dumb broke. What a joke, right? And the concept of always being broke or feeling like you don't have a way out, right, is the joke on top of the idea that, if you were talking to a girl and she didn't have any brains, right? Not saying that she's not smart or intelligent, but just if she didn't have brains, like the concept that they used to paint on TV, then she wouldn't have any sense, right? Any common sense. Sense, same thing as like money, pennies for your thoughts. It was just a little play on words, a little fun right there. But I digress. Shimmy, shimmy, Cocoa Puff. Got the right mixture of all the wrong stuff. It doesn't matter what I do, I'm not enough. So I eat my ramen out of styrofoam cup. First off, I'm from the South, and we used to do this like little dance, the shimmy, and everybody down there, we love our Cocoa Puffs. And Shimmy Shimmy Cocoa Puff was like a song that people used to listen to. I'm going to not tell y'all got to go find it out, make you do some research of your own. But I would love that. That was always a thing for me. And my favorite cereal when I was a kid was Cocoa Puffs, but if you didn't have the right mixture, it wasn't right. You gotta have the right kind of milk. Make sure too much milk, it be watery. Just the right amount of milk is perfect chocolate. But that's a whole nother story. Anyways, back to what we were saying. So, also it goes back to reference to me and my relationship with my ex. And like I said, I only had a certain amount of things that seemed valuable to her. So even though I had all these great things inside of me, it wasn't enough and it wasn't the right mixture for her. So it didn't make her feel solidified in our relationship. And it didn't make me solidified in the person I was because my life and my thought process waned on that person. This was before I learned to evolve and find love in myself, right? So going through that, it taught me that, hey, that's okay. If I'm not enough, that's fine. I'll eat my ramen out of styrofoam cup. I'll take my time and deal with my own feelings and deal with my own stuff in my own space, right? And make sure that I'm protected in my mind, my heart, my soul, so I can come back out and be who I need to be. So, honestly, pretty girls really fucking suck. Give me a butter face with 2 big buns. Ay! All right, so that's me just kind of like yelling out at the world that like, I don't care for the standard of what you guys see as acceptable anymore. That's, fuck them. I'm going to do it. It's best for me, my health, my love, my life, right? So for me, I'm going to do what's right for me. So that's cool. I take my step back and I look at life like, hey, that's all right. What you don't see beautiful, I do. So give me a butterface with 2 big buns because, hey, you got to love the beginning and the end. But that's Pretty Girls. It's just a really big kind of a laugh with the inner conversation with myself as I struggled with relationships, life, and just transforming into who I am today. Sometimes those conversations you have with yourself, you can yell at yourself, you can be happy with yourself, you can be sad with yourself, and all at once. And that's kind of how this song is. It's all those emotions at once, and they're all over the place. But when you listen to it, you get a feeling of completion and a feeling of, hey, this song helped me get through something. You may not know what it helped you get through initially, but listen to it enough and you'll find out. Thank you guys once again for tuning in to Music Talk. You can find Pretty Girls on all platforms. It's Pretty Girls with a Z, and that's 19 G's, 19 GZ, out on all platforms. Make sure y'all tap in. See you soon. Pretty girl.